In a previous video, I spoke about the importance of understanding the distinction between flat prompting and using parentheses and quotation marks, and how that accent can highlight things within the model. Next, we're moving on to taking that compare and contrast using different types of signifiers such as quotation marks and parentheses or brackets or angled braces or curly braces and angled brackets, and comparing and contrasting the model that you're using to establish a contextual feel for RHLF differences in output based on an identical prompting approach. Now, in order to do this, you can test it using open source models, including DeepSeek. You can choose the old classic GPT 3.5 or now GPT-5, since it's just been released today. Next, what you're going to want to do is understand the difference between subject, object, verb versus subject, verb, object. This is important in understanding how large language models interpret different token sequences differently across multimodal instances. Lastly, based on the context window, the total tokens an LLM can process at a time determines how much information the LLM can remember from the previous text. So once you understand what the token window is in terms of the context window, then you can frame an intent based on early game, mid-game, and end-game. And you're going to want to chop it up based on 1/3 segments. First, when you're starting a new chat, that's early game. For when the context window was about 32,000, that would be about 11,000 tokens. And that's when you're starting a new chat window. You're in early game in between those first 10,000, 11,000 tokens. And then you're in mid-game when you're looking for outputs or results. That's in terms of the context window that you can expect. Mid-game was that second 1/3 10,000 to 11,000 tokens. And then in endgame, where you're just sure that it's almost about to fall off, then you start doing after action reports, or you prompt back to early game to remember it in endgame. And you're asking for token counts. You're doing after action reports. You're iterating with suggestions for improvement, and you're finding the token fall off in terms of when does mid-game transition to endgame, and when does endgame transition to the fall off from your early game activities in terms of understanding.